If you're someone out there suffering with ADHD and you're just miserable, you're stuck in a rut, you're continually taking medication that maybe make you feel like you're drugged or stimulated and you're not hungry, but yet you also have maybe discipline problems or you can't do your job. It could be whether you're a child or an adult. So many limiting factors with this condition. And so there are options. I'm Dr. Chris Cormier. I've been in practice now for almost 3 decades, and we have resources and methods and techniques that chances are you've never heard about. And so we're about to have a conversation that's a little bit more in depth. I think you're going to really enjoy it, so stay tuned.
Today I'm here with Dr. Chris Cormier, and we are going to be talking about ADHD. Hello, Dr. Cormier.
Hi, Cameron.
To start simply, what does ADHD actually stand for?
Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder.
Alrighty. Does that name really describe what people with ADHD experience on a day-to-day?
Pretty much. People with this condition really just have a inability to focus, and their brain is kind of scattered all over to the point where it leads them into bad behavior sometimes, especially when it comes to children. So it can be a really condition that limits what a kid is doing because of, and gets the kid into trouble, gets the kid bad grades, and basically just is not fun on the parents for sure with a child with this disorder.
Is ADHD something people are born with, or can it show up later in life?
So we think of it differently, right? So the nervous system is your controller. So your brain is your biggest, it is your power company, and it powers everything in your entire body. So I want you to think about it. There's a nerve that comes from the back of your brainstem back here, and it goes to your little muscles in your eyes, and it makes you focus in or far. So it makes you zoom in or zoom out. And that nerve oftentimes it can get weak, but it gets weak due to stressors. And stressors in the world that we're in start with physical stressors, emotional stresses, or environmental stresses. It's complicated, all the things that our body goes through on a day-to-day basis. So that's how as you start living, some of those stresses can turn off a nerve, and it's called the oculomotor nerve. It's the nerve that makes you focus in and out. And that particular nerve can just get weak. But also genetically, you may have had somebody in your past that had a weak oculomotor nerve as well, and it causes problems in your life as well.
How does ADHD look different in children compared to adults?
So in children, like I kind of mentioned, they get in trouble a lot of times. They're in school, so they're confined wherever the school is. If they can't do their work and they can't focus in the classroom and they can't do all these different things, they get in trouble. Adults maybe lose their job, right? Or can't do a certain job or can't make an income that they want because of this condition.
Why do so many adults only realize they have ADHD later on in life?
I think it's just gotten more awareness. Many years ago, there wasn't much awareness about this, and people just kind of swept it under the rug and dealt with it, and just did what they had to do. But nowadays, there's more awareness on this condition.
Do boys, girls, men, women experience ADHD in the same way or very differently?
I would say it's similar. Each person is going to have their own activities and day-to-day routines, and whatever those are can be affected, right? It could be as an adult, it could be your work, it could be your family. Maybe you can't focus on your family. It also could be, as a child, your school, your athletics, at home time with your parents, all those different things.
What problems are caused when ADHD is only viewed as a childhood condition?
So remember, nerves in the body can turn off, like this oculomotor nerve. I'll refer to that oculomotor nerve a good bit in this talk, because it's the hub, it's the center. And you can imagine, I'm sitting here focused. If I look down, I got to focus there. But if I look at you, I got to focus at you. If I look over here, I got to focus there. The world we're in is a lot of zooming in and zooming out. And when your nervous system has trouble doing that, it makes so many things limited.
Why does focus come and go instead of staying steady?
So exactly what we talked about, the stresses in the environment, right? So you can have anything that you eat for instance, that maybe is not good for you, and it'll actually shut off that oculomotor nerve. Maybe it's a mold in the air that gets in your eye that can shut off the oculomotor nerve. And there's all kinds of environmental stresses that we're surrounded with and inundated with that can turn off this particular nerve. You also have, physical stresses. Maybe it goes back to a whiplash or something that you had, or something hit in the back of your head. And then if you don't get those cells, those nerves healed properly, they stay damaged. And then the third would be emotional. It could be an emotional stress that's a contributor. It could be all three of those. And then it could be some genetics on top of that.
Why can someone hyper-focus on one thing but struggle with simple tasks?
So there's things in the body, nerves, that control different parts of the body that make you either focus short-term or long-term. And so if that part of the nervous system is damaged, where it's hard to focus short-term, then that'll be damaged, right? If the other part where you got to focus longer, the other nerve is damaged there, then you'll have deficits there. So it's understanding how that, especially the oculomotor nerve works and how complicated it really is.
Many people are told, you just need more discipline. Why doesn't that work?
Well, it's a deficit in the nervous system that starts this condition. And until you really deep-rooted address the cause, it's definitely not just a discipline issue. They have a fault. It's like breakers tripped in a breaker box, and until you turn those back on, the kid may suffer just with disciplinary issues.
What early signs show the nervous system is overloaded, but often get dismissed as personality?
So when it comes to this particular condition, it could just start with some disciplinary things with a child where they're not listening, or you give them a task to do and they're not focusing on the task. Just the simplest things that you think, oh, they're just being a kid. If you see patterns that start to develop to more, that's where these deficits are. It's literally like looking at somebody and knowing that they have trip breakers in their breaker box.
You see many of patients over your years. When someone with ADHD walks into your clinic, what do you notice right away that tests and questionnaires don't show?
So when somebody comes here, we do a very detailed history, and we get to know that person as well as we possibly can. We want to know their physical stresses that they've been through in their life. We want to know their emotional stressors. We want to know their environmental stressors. And we want to know kind of the journey they've been on, what led them up to where they are. And then we go and do a very specific neurological exam, where I want you to think of your brain is here, your spinal cord runs all the way down. There's 88 primary nerves that connect 30 trillion cells, which is crazy, right? It's just this massive wiring network we're in. Well, there's a pair of nerves at the top called the oculomotor nerves. Those are the ones that make you zoom in and zoom out. But you can imagine there's 88 major power lines coming off that go to all these particular cells. So we go through a very detailed exam where we test the function of all these 88 major nerves, and we're able to give you a percentage when you come in. And the way the brain works, as soon as the brain starts to feel these areas that have lost power, it starts to regain the power.
That's awesome. Why does the nervous system stay overstimulated even during quiet moments?
So when it comes to this particular condition, when your nervous system is disconnected, various groups of cells throughout your body has a tough time staying in a healing, calming state, and it stays in a sympathetic height of fight or flight, anxiety type state, which you have two sides of your nervous system we always talk about, and we want them to be equally strong. We don't want the surviving side to be really strong and the healing side to be weak. And this particular condition really, it's that sympathetic side stronger a lot of times than the healing side. That's a whole nother component. We certainly talked about the oculomotor nerve being a problem, but in this particular condition, it's also that parasympathetic nervous system it gets weak, and it doesn't function as good as that sympathetic. We got to balance it out.
Why does the body react before logic, planning, or intentions can kick in?
So your body is designed to heal itself, and it should be healing itself of any particular condition. You want to think of it as every cell in your body has this amazing ability to heal itself. It's God-given, and it just sometimes loses the ability to heal itself. And you got to do the right things to find where that cell is in your body. You can imagine there's only 30 trillion of them, right? So it's in the right cell, or the cell that's not healthy, that's weak, and to figure out how to reconnect the brain to that cell to get it to start functioning properly again.
What starts to change when the nervous system finally feels safe again and starts to feel like it could slow down?
Yeah, so a lot of the children coming to see us with this condition, we've seen crazy cases where they're on anxiety meds, they're on focus meds, and they're on antidepressant meds. And they just keep piling medications on these children for this particular condition. A lot of times the big one they'll prescribe is just the drugs that are out there on the market that are high-level central nervous system stimulants. And so we see some coming to see us, and literally they're stone. Like their eyes or pupils are really, and it looks like they've taken a major drug, which they have, right, with this, and they don't want to eat. Sometimes they're sympathetic. Those will stimulate that sympathetic side of the nervous system, and keep them in this fight or flight. So it's when that starts to repair, when we get that oculomotor nerve to work better, when we equal out the parasympathetic side, those kids, those adults even, can focus better. They're calmer, they digest more, they sleep more, and don't feel like, their pupils are not like big, saucers, and they feel like they can actually function again like it's normal.
ADHD is often described as a brain disorder. How often is it really a stress-adapted nervous system?
So the nervous system is always under stress. No matter what you're thinking or doing, it's always some type of stress. Like right now as we're speaking, we air around us, we got clothing on us, maybe you're thinking about something that stressed you last night. I mean, so many factors that are involved, plus you just ate maybe or drank something. There's so many factors and stressors around us that are affecting our nervous system, and either positively or negatively. And you gotta to understand the nervous system is complicated, right? There's all these nerves. If we drew all the nerves in your body, this would be three-dimensionally solid green. If they were green nerves, so it's a lot of nerves.
What happens when ADHD is treated only as a focus problem instead of a regulation problem?
So in line of work, it needs to be treated from the nervous system in particular as a weakness. That's what it's about. If it's just treated on a conventional side and as a focus issue, well, then they put them on these high-level drugs that, like I said, really sometimes are detrimental. Sometimes it'll take them so high on the sympathetic side, they got to give them an antidepressant with it and try to balance it. And so that conventional side is not where I choose to go at all. We to actually fix the root of the problem with this particular condition, and it takes work, right? So some people come in to see us. I wish I had a magic wand, but they're coming to see us. We got to go through a corrective plan to be able to work through all the weaknesses we find in the nervous system. One other thing too, I'll tell you is, we'll have just an oculomotor nerve issue, and others will have all kinds of other nerves that are problematic with that oculomotor nerve. The oculomotor nerve is also tied into your organs. So some of the nerves go into the organs. So as that gets deficient, sometimes some of the organ function is deficient as well. It could just be, let's say, the pancreas not connected and you're not producing enough digestive enzymes. And you can imagine that trickles into more and more and more.
That's amazing. In your experience, how often does long-term stress make ADHD symptoms worse?
Yeah, so any type of stress can affect anything, any cell in your body. And if it's a particular type of stress that really gets you, really causes nerves to shut off, and you're exposed to long terms of it, of course it can crash your nervous system, where you get to where you can't function. We see some coming to see us that really just, they're anxiety ridden all the time. They can't do their schoolwork, and on meds, right? So it's because the conventional approach is really just kind of a bunch of drugs at them, but that poor child has a ton of weaknesses that need to be addressed. From a deep-rooted standpoint, somebody that expertly knows what nerve goes where, how to check those various nerves, how to get the brain connected again versus just having the brain not connected and heavily medicated.
Why can people still feel exhausted even when symptoms look managed?
Yeah, so the nervous system is it gets in a person, they handle stress. So even just waking up becomes a chore sometimes. Even just going through, getting past noon on a day, becomes a chore. So these two conditions can really cause all kinds of other nerves to shut off throughout the body that lead to more and more different types of conditions.
You work with frequency-based therapies in ADHD and nervous system cases. What is the body actually responding to? Yeah,
so frequency is one of my favorite things. The egg of your 30 trillion cells has its own resonant frequency or tune. And so your heart cells have a different tune or frequency than your pancreas cells, than your kidney cells, than your adrenal gland cells. So every cell in the body, if it gets a wrong stress, that tune will get altered, and the cell literally becomes it loses its tune. So it has to get its tune back, and so we use all kinds of frequency devices to be able to get the nervous system, get those cells to tune back up, so that they can do their job.
Why are people with ADHD often sensitive to pressure, overstimulation, or constant correction?
Yeah, so remember, weakness, if I can't focus, well, then if I tell somebody who can't focus, you have to read this book in 20 minutes, it's going to be something they can't do. It's too much for them. It would be like telling you, let's say you have a bicep, right? But never lifted weights in your whole life. And let's say I walked up with an 80-pound dumbbell and said, I want you to do this 10 times.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And so kind of how these nerves work in the body is they literally are as strong. I mean, so overstimulate and do a task that's too much.
What happens when the nervous system receives signals it doesn't have to fight?
Yeah, so the nervous system is you're going to have good things that feel good. It's almost like like I said earlier, breakers in a breaker box. There are things that are going to keep your breakers on that are around you, and there are things that are going to turn them off. It's almost like certain people, if you think about it. When you're around a certain person, you can feel yourself getting weak. Well, that's actually nerves shutting off. It's the emotional stress of that particular person shutting off nerves in your body, right? It could be a food you eat. I'm just going to use an example, a very sugary donut, right? It tastes so good. Oh my goodness, it's great. But then about 10 minutes, you're like, I don't feel so good, right? It's those two effects that we sometimes don't pay attention to. And people will literally, I always use the example of going to a gas station. And if you go to the gas station, your car's running fine, you fill your car with gas. Well, if you leave and your car starts sputtering, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, it's bad gas. Well, that's what we're not doing in the human body, right? They're not paying attention to what they're doing and what's causing their body to feel bad. It could be something emotional, physical, or environmental.
Why does helping the system regulate matter more than forcing focus?
Yeah, so you have to be laser beam specific with this condition. In other words, the testing of this condition is you have to know exactly what nerve goes where and how to check that particular nerve to see if it's working, and then what to do to get it to come back and how to strengthen it. And then even deeper, trying to figure out what stressors turn those particular nerves off, and then trying to strengthen that person to those stressors. So it's complicated.
Yes,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
We've seen big figures, including Simone Biles, an Olympic gymnast, speak openly about living with ADHD. Why doesn't success, talent, or structure automatically calm the nervous system?
Yeah, so there's so much censoring out there. So people can't find this type of information. There's not many of us doing this in the world when it comes to the body like this. So most people have never heard of any of this. They don't even know that we have the ability. Can you imagine If for some reason you went to a doctor and you couldn't focus, and then you left that office and are like, oh my goodness, I can focus. That's what we do, right? A lot of these people come 10 out of 10 anxious, and they're like, bouncing off the wall. And we make some corrections to their nervous system. We find nerves are weak, and we turn those back on, and then the body's like, oh, my 10 out of 10 have zero anxiety. This is the sort of stuff we see in my practice every single day. But even people out there that are famous people, more than likely haven't heard of this, because we're like a hidden gem. And I've been doing this for decades, right? So I didn't learn all this just overnight. It's taken a lot of experience throughout all these years. And that's why we're doing this, to educate people and teach everybody out there that we have solutions for you.
What does that show about how misunderstood ADHD really is?
Yeah, so exactly what I said. There's so much misinterpretation. People just think it's a medication. That ADHD is a deficiency in the medication. It's not. It's in the nervous system. It's a weakness in cells, and you're not used to be labeled. If you don't fix it in you, then your offspring's going to have it, because you're going to pass these genetic traits over and over and over for years into your family. So it's pertinent that if you have this sort of condition, you try to get the best rehabilitative care like what we offer to get it better, right? Because otherwise it leads to other conditions. Like we mentioned, it's tied in, the focus nerve is tied into some of the organs. And I mean, I'm telling you, we see it all the time where people, they can't focus, they're anxious, and they can't digest their food, and it's into more and more conditions.
In your clinic, what are some of the more challenging ADHD cases you've seen, and what do they tend to have in common?
Yeah, so the ones that are where they get really bad with discipline, and the parents get to the point where they don't even know what to do anymore. I mean, it gets to that. The school teachers, administrators don't know what to do with the child, and the child maybe is a variety of meds and on all kinds of medications. Those are more challenging because we have to try to strengthen the nervous system as fast as possible. But we've actually really had many cases where we reversed it, where we tell a person not to take medications. That's not our jurisdiction. It's totally up to them. But you can imagine, as we improve the focus, as we decrease the anxiety, well, certainly that can go back to the medical doctor that prescribed the drugs. Oftentimes they say you don't need it anymore. So those are the types of cases that we love to see, because we know we're changing that child's future. Yeah. Everything. I mean, maybe there's something they're going to be able to do in their history, in their future, that they would have never been able to do with this type of condition.
Exactly. What do both public and clinical cases reveal about the limits of willpower-based approaches?
So in the human body, it's designed to self-heal. It's designed to heal itself. And what we see here is if people are open to a new type of care like what we offer, if you're staying on the conventional side, don't come here. If you want to go drugs, the wrong place. But if you're looking for a holistic, real thing that really, really works, you want to focus on keeping your body maximum, self-healing at a maximum, where you feel every day. That's what we work on here. So it really takes the willpower of people to say, like a parent that just says, look, I will do something different for my child.
If someone has been told they have ADHD and this is just how you are, what assumption should they question first?
It's definitely not a permanent condition. It's in their body that needs to be repaired. And if it's not repaired, it will stay and go generations in the future.
Sorry guys, one moment. What keeps you working with ADHD cases that others may label as just manageable?
Yeah, so the services offer here are so different than other doctors. You can imagine every single cell is wired to your brain. So I could probably check cells in your body for 30 years, 24 hours a day, and not cover all those cells. So every single visit, we can check different cells in the body and see if they're connected to get rid of your symptoms. So symptoms, a lot of times, is a result of a disconnect. It's like the cells are crying out when they lose power from the brain. So we have a way of checking every single cell and restoring power to those cells.
That's amazing. What is the most damaging sentence someone with ADHD can hear early in life?
That it's permanent, never go away. You're going to always need meds. You're going to need multiple meds, and you're going to have all kinds of limitations in your life as a result. Definitely not the case.
Well, that is great to hear. And that is also it for today on our ADHD topic. Thank you so much, Dr. Cormier. That was very informative.
Thank you.
If this podcast spoke to you, or if you feel like you have family members or friends that have these types of conditions that could benefit from this particular technology, then all you need to do is become a Body Chargers member or tell them about Body Chargers. Remember, it's our community that I created to help people at home with the best technologies in the world to be able to help you to self-heal your body at home and maximize your self-healing. So go to Body Chargers, become a member. That's the easiest way to get this done. And we look forward to serving you and your family. Also, if you want a higher level of care, we have the Nerve Health Institute you can always come to. That's our clinic where we have higher level services here to be able to help you. So I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to serving you and your family, and look forward to our next podcast.